Cities across America are rezoning neighborhoods to allow more housing. The logic seems simple. Change the rules. Get more homes. But in practice, it's rarely that simple. Upzoning increases what's legally allowed on a piece of land. More units, more height, more density. It removes a regulatory barrier. But removing a barrier doesn't automatically mean something gets built. Research reviewing neighborhood-scale upzonings has found mixed results. Some studies show increased housing production. Others find none. A review of Chicago upzonings found no increase in housing construction within 5 years of rezoning, despite rising land values. A Portland study found only a 2.5 percentage point difference in development rates between upzoned and non-upzoned parcels over 15 years. Zoning for it and building it are two different things. Here's why. A project has to pencil out financially before a developer will build it. Land, labor, materials, financing, fees, and all required parking and utility capacity have to be purchased by the developer up front and covered by future rents or sales. Plus, if a developer plans to get a construction loan for a new development, banks will require a minimum margin of return before lending. Small-scale upzonings, allowing a duplex or fourplex where a single-family home once stood, often don't produce enough revenue to cover those costs. Research from the UC Berkeley Turner Center found that even under optimistic assumptions, only for-sale duplexes in select California markets were financially feasible. Fourplexes and rental tenplexes didn't pencil out in any market studied. The density allowed is simply too small to make the numbers work. Scale matters. Research consistently shows that large, citywide upzonings produce more housing than targeted neighborhood rezonings. But scale alone isn't enough. Construction costs, impact fees, permitting timelines, financing availability, and building code requirements all affect feasibility independently of what zoning allows. Just construction costs have surged by more than 40% in the last 5 years, with more than 80% of input materials showing increases in cost. This topic alone could be its own video. If that weren't enough, here is something that rarely makes it into the upzoning conversation. Zoning is not only one set of rules governing what can be built on a lot. Even after a rezoning, developers still have to comply with setback requirements, lot coverage maximums, limits to the number of units per lot, floor area ratio limits, height restrictions, prescribed roof pitch angles, proportional scale guidelines, and parking minimums. And these rules don't automatically change when the zoning does. The interaction between these regulations can make density functionally impossible even on paper upzoned land. Parking minimums are one of the most significant examples. A small urban lot rezoned to allow 6 units still has to fit the required parking on site. One Portland developer documented building a 4-unit mixed-use project on a 2,500 square foot lot and losing the majority of the buildable area to 5 required parking spaces. The units that could have been built weren't. Not because of zoning. Because of parking. The cost dimension compounds this. Underground parking runs roughly $50,000 to $100,000 per stall to construct. A City of Austin analysis found that one additional parking space per apartment could raise monthly rent by up to $200. For small projects, these costs can make the entire development infeasible before a single unit is designed. Then there's floor area ratio. Floor area ratio caps limit how much total building area is allowed relative to lot size. A lot rezoned for higher density, but subject to a low FAR cap, simply cannot hold the building that the zoning theoretically permits, or in many cases results in small, awkward studio units that are not suitable for families with children. More on that in our next video on growth management. Finally, the American Planning Association has documented that missing middle housing is often made infeasible, not just by zoning, but by building codes written for either single-family homes or large commercial projects, leaving the middle range with no workable regulatory framework. The mass production of housing that cities need is impeded from many directions. Upzoning changes one variable, but development feasibility is a system of variables, and changing only one rarely changes the outcome. What gets built depends on economics, codes, financing, and permitting, not just what zoning permits. Subscribe for more on development, housing policy, and how cities actually grow. And if you're a builder, designer, or just want to help cities build more, faster, pre-check your plans at civicstream.ai.